Here's what almost nobody tells you about cloud storage. If your provider is an American company, like Microsoft, like Google, like Dropbox, or Apple, it really doesn't matter where on earth your files are physically stored. A single US law can force that company to hand your data to the American government, even if the servers sit in Switzerland. The most important question for data privacy isn't which cloud storage is best. It's essentially which ones aren't American. And in this video, you'll learn which clouds are safe from the long arm of the US government and which ones aren't. So why does being American matter so much? And it comes down to one law, the Cloud Act. In plain terms, it lets the US government force any American company to hand over your data, no matter which country the servers physically sit in. So the data center's location, it doesn't really save you. What matters is where the company is headquartered, right? And, well, here's the part that essentially catches everyone out. The big American providers will actually let you choose to store your data in Europe. I mean, we got Google, Microsoft, Dropbox, Box. They all offer EU data regions, right? And essentially does nothing because the Cloud Act applies to the company, not the building the servers are in. So EU data residency is not EU data sovereignty. You pick the European data center, but you're still handing your files to an American company that can be forced to open them just like that. Okay, let's take a little trip around the world. Let's clear the American names first. You've got Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud, Dropbox, and Box. So these all hold onto your encryption keys too, which makes it even worse. Then there is the backup crowd, and that's iDrive, that's Backblaze, that's Carbonite, as essentially the three big players in the consumer backup space. They're all American, so all Cloud Act exposed. At least with these three, you can set up client-side encryption, but that doesn't protect your metadata. Like for sensitive files, for me personally, that would be a pass on essentially all of them. Now, before you think, Mauricio, you're just hating on America here, well, there are other countries that are just as bad, if not worse. I mean, we got China, which is the clearest one, obviously. And I've talked here about Terabox, which traces back to Baidu. It's not encrypted client-side, and China's national intelligence law can force any company there to hand over data and cooperate with state intelligence whenever the government asks. So that should be a no for pretty much everyone. I did a full Terabox investigation last year looking into all of this, so I'll leave a link up here or down below in the description box. And honestly, Russia is no better. I mean, there's Yandex Disk and Mail.ru, which is also called VK Cloud, both fall under a law called FZ152. And that's Russia's data localization law, which forces companies to keep Russians' users' data on Russian servers and cooperate with the state. And Yandex shares data for ads on top of that. So for these, for me, this gives another hard no. Now, the Five Eyes countries outside the US, I mean, that's United Kingdom, it's Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. Five Eyes is an, if you will, an intelligence sharing pact going back to the Cold War, where the signals agencies in those 5 countries swap certain kinds of data with each other. So essentially, when a provider in, I don't know, say UK gets hit with a legal order to hand over your files, the data can move between those governments, well, a lot more swiftly and easily than it otherwise would. It's like not super automatic file sharing, but it is an extra pressure point worth knowing about. Now, I want to take a moment to essentially explain the thing all my top picks in the cloud storage space share, because it's right here that it earns its keep. It's called client-side encryption, or sometimes also zero-knowledge encryption. If you're a marketing manager and you want to sound fancy, you say zero-knowledge encryption. Think of it like a safe deposit box where you're the only one with a key. The provider holds the box, but it can't actually open it because it doesn't have your key. So even if a government shows up with a warrant, even if the company gets hacked, I mean, your files are unreadable gibberish to everyone but you. Now, there is a limit here, and it's one not a lot of people actually talk about. Usually, client-side encryption protects the contents of your files, but it doesn't hide everything. The provider can still see metadata, like when you uploaded, how big a file is, who you share it with even, so it's not total invisibility, but your actual files at least are locked away from everyone, including the company storing it. And for most of us, that's the thing that truly matters. And that's exactly why a Five Eyes country can still be fine technically. I mean, my rule here is pretty simple. A Five Eyes country is acceptable, but only if you hold the encryption keys. That's that. IceDrive is the first one here. It's based in the UK, but unfortunately, the client-side encryption is a paid vault feature not available on free accounts. It's got a pretty clean design and a good price to storage ratio though, so I'll give them that. And by the way, you can check out this comparison chart here if you want the full details on each service, and the link of this comparison chart is, as always, in the description box below. Next, we have Sync.com. In Canada, my favorite in the scoop, I would say, is a client-side encryption on every single plan, including the free one, and that's pretty rare. It's the only Five Eyes provider here giving you that on a truly free account, on a permanently free account, which is exactly why a Canadian company survives the Five Eyes problem. The jurisdiction stops mattering for your file contents because Sync.com, they can't read them anyway, right? I mean, Sync values is pretty great too. Its 5 terabyte Pro Solo plan lands at around $168 a year, which works out to about $34 per terabyte a year. So the full breakdown of all providers you can find in the comparison chart that I'll link down below. You just have to enter your email and then I'll send you the free PDF right into your inbox. Now, fair warning, Sync is one of the slowest uploaders in my testing. So if you're moving huge video libraries or huge files constantly, I mean, you'll truly feel it. But the encryption plus the relatively cheap price makes it worth living with, in my opinion. Now, before I move on, a quick favor. If you're enjoying this video, a like really helps me and keep making these videos and do these investigation and deep testing. And also, you can obviously subscribe if you want, and you can hit the bell icon so you never miss a video that we publish. Okay, next we have Switzerland. It's commonly cited as one of the best countries in the world for data privacy. And hell, I mean, you've probably heard me call it, pretty much the gold standard a couple of times here on the channel if you are a longtime viewer. Unfortunately, there is some bad news in Switzerland paradise, right? Switzerland is now proposing a new surveillance law, if you will. In plain terms, it would force providers to log and hand over user data, things like your IP address and connection activity, to Swiss authorities, basically on request. One Swiss company, Proton, they really didn't like this.
No.
So much so that they've been moving a big chunk out of their infrastructure, around 100 million Swiss francs, worth to be exact, out to, Germany of all places, and Norway in response. And I'm sure, some of you are thinking, Mauricio, Proton handed user data to the authorities back in 2021. Why would I trust them now? Well, that's a fair memory. That's a fair point. In 2021, Proton was legally compelled to log and hand over a French activist's IP address. But here's the thing. That was metadata. The connection info, not the contents of any files. Its encryption held steady. The content stayed private. And you know what? What did Proton after that? They changed their encryption architecture to make the metadata encrypted too. So now it cannot happen again. So does the Swiss news change my answer, change my recommendation for Proton? Honestly, it doesn't change much. With client-side encryption, even a contested Switzerland is fine for your file contents because the law can't reach what the company can't read. And there are 3 Swiss names worth your time. First, I already mentioned Proton Drive. It's client-side encryption, not client-side. We're not using the marketing term zero knowledge here. We say client-side encryption by default, and it's the cleanest private experience of the group. In my testing, it scored the highest of all my picks on design. It is really smooth to use, so it's the privacy pick that doesn't feel like a downgrade if you're using Google Drive, for example. And that clean experience carries right into a private workspace built into the app. You can write and edit documents inside Proton Drive, and it stays encrypted end-to-end the whole time. And here's exactly what it looks like. Now watch this. I open a document right here, inside Proton Drive, and I can start like typing into it like this. Now look at the little lock indicator up here. I keep typing, and that lock stays there the whole time. See that? So you can see that the editing is happening fully encrypted, live essentially, as I work. A real document editor where even Proton can't read a word. Take that, Google Docs. And that brings me to pCloud. And this one's all about owning your storage instead of renting it forever. pCloud sells lifetime plans. So you pay once and you're essentially done. The 2 terabyte lifetime runs $399, and the annual 2 terabyte is about $100 a year. So it pays for itself in about 4 years. The other thing pCloud nails is media. I mean, you drop in a big video and it streams smoothly right from the cloud. There is no clunky downloads that you need to do first. And also, speaking of that pCloud lifetime price, I've tracked down the best current deals for all the providers here, especially those lifetime offers. The links are, as always, in the description box below. And I keep those updated, so no matter when you're watching this, you get the best price possible. But here's the giant asterisk I have to slap on my recommendation every single time. pCloud doesn't have client-side encryption out of the box. You only get that with a paid add-on. By default, pCloud can read your files just like Google can. And obviously, I'm not saying they do, but they could. The crypto folder, I mean, it closes the gap. And if you ask me, it's pretty much well the extra cost. And if you pay for pCloud, you should also pay for the crypto folder. Here, watch this. I drag a file into the encrypted crypto folder right here, and it locks. And then I switch over to pCloud's own web interface and try to open that same file. And look at this. There is no preview available. No thumbnail, it's just locked. Unreadable blob over here. So pCloud literally can't see inside it, even on its own website. And the third Swiss name is Tresorit. It's got client-side encryption on every plan, but it's built for teams and compliance rather than personal use. What sets it apart is access logging, which is an audit trail showing who opened which file and when. So if you're running a regulated business and you need to prove who touched what, when, where, whatever, and that's the reason why you would want to pick Tresorit over Proton. And that brings us to our final group, the EU. Between GDPR and the EU's top court, this is the strongest jurisdiction of everything here for essentially keeping your data out of the wrong hands. And here's why. Back in 2020, that court struck down the main EU-US data deal, the one called Privacy Shield, in a ruling known as Schrems II. Now, the reason was simple. US surveillance law is just too broad to trust European data too. So this is the group I keep coming back to, and there's a real spread here, so I'm sorting them by essentially that same question. Can the provider read your files? And let me start with the two that can. First, Kufer, and I have to be honest, it's a privacy weak point of the group. It's based in Slovenia under GDPR, and it doesn't scan or mine your files, which is good, but it is not zero knowledge. Kufer holds your keys, so it earns its spot for jurisdiction and ease of use, but not for encryption. So what I do love is multi-cloud connect, and look at this. You can plug your existing accounts from the big providers, right? See how my Google Drive and my Dropbox are here straight in Kufer? I can run them all from one place, which nobody else here does. It's the same encryption story with a service called Yota Cloud from Norway, which is in the EEA. It stores everything in Norway on a GDPR, and it's great if you've got huge backups to park somewhere. But like Kufer, it is not zero knowledge. It holds the keys so it can hand over your file's contents under a legal order. Now, that's still meaningfully better than the American situation, of course. A Norwegian handover means a Norwegian court order, and it is still under GDPR oversight, not a secret US letter nobody ever sees. Now, to the ones that can't actually read your files. Filen is German, and it's client-side encrypted by default. The code's out in the open, so anyone can inspect it on GitHub. it's also one of the cheapest genuine private options here. So if you want real encryption without paying premium prices, Filen doesn't get much attention, but it's a pretty solid choice in my book. And that brings me to Mega, which makes the whole point of this video essentially one more time. Mega started life in New Zealand, and these days it runs its head office in Hungary. So its corporate home is honestly a bit murky, and Hungary carries some rule of law concerns, right? Hungary has clashed with EU courts over judicial independence. So the GDPR protection you'd normally lean on are enforced less reliably there. But hey, I mean, that's about to change with maybe Orban gone, right? But regardless, since Mega can't read your files anyway, the gap only touches metadata, so not your actual content. So your files stay safe wherever its paperwork ends up sitting. And finally, my favorite EU cloud storage is Internext. It's from Spain. This is the pick if you are a privacy maximalist, I would say. It's zero knowledge by default, and the code is also open source and independently audited. So you don't have to take my word for it. Anyone can inspect how it works. And on top of that, Internext offers lifetime plans and even has what's called post-quantum encryption. In plain terms, that just means the math holds up even against future quantum computers. So files you lock today, they essentially stay locked decades from now. And you can own it outright with the 1 terabyte lifetime plan for a one-time payment of $259. When it first launched, Internext used to be painfully slow, and I've mentioned that here several times on the channel. And that's now normalized. And honestly, the slowness was proof the encryption was doing its job. There were growing pains. And actually, I did an interview with the Internext CEO recently, and we talked about this exact thing. So check that out up here if you like, or down below in the description box below. I leave a link for you to peruse. So there's no question that things can change quickly in the cloud storage space. Companies move to new countries. I mean, new laws get proposed, someone goes bankrupt. If you want to stay current as things change, I'll drop a newsletter link also in the description box below. It's where I send my updates, and it's where you will hear about these updates first. So how do you actually use all this? The full jurisdiction and encryption chart you can download right now. I leave the link in the description box below. Essentially, with every number you'd want laid out per provider, what jumps out is that only 6 of these 10 offer client-side encryption by default. And here's the honest part. So you don't panic. You don't have to nuke your whole digital life. Your convenience files, you might call them, I mean, the shared docs, the stuff you collaborate on, that can stay on Google by all means. I mean, I'm all for convenience, right? And that's completely fine. The ones under good laws that still can't keep secrets, like Kufer and Yada Cloud, are reasonably like middle ground for that like everyday stuff too, right? Just, I mean, dump your files there. It's fine. You just move the files that actually matter, right? And that's what matters. And those files, they should move to the zero knowledge providers I just showed you. So if you remember one thing from this, make of this. Privacy isn't about a company's promises. It's about the architecture. A provider that holds your keys can be charming and well-reviewed and still be forced to open your files to the public, right? A provider that can't read them, they can't be forced to. And that's the difference. And in my book, it's the only thing that survives a warrant, a breach, or a country changing its laws. Now, if you still want to keep your important files on Google or Dropbox, I really want to know why. So tell me in the comments, and if this was useful, a like and subscribe really does help a lot. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.